I never went to that concert to change my life. I bought the concert ticket at the last minute. Not because I was a huge fan. Not because I believed in fate. I just didn't want to go home that night. Work had drained me. Life felt repetitive. And when a friend canceled on me, I went alone, standing among thousands of strangers, all screaming the same name. Her name. She was a star. Millions loved her. I was just another face in the crowd. Yet that night, she saw only me. She walked onto the stage like she belonged to the light. The crowd exploded. Phones rose like stars, trying to imitate her glow. She was more than a singer. She was an event. I stood there quietly, hands in my pockets, watching her move with confidence I didn't recognize in myself. Every song felt rehearsed to perfection. Every smile calculated, yet effortless. Then something happened that still doesn't make sense to me. In the middle of her third song, she stopped. The music softened. The lights shifted. Her eyes moved across the crowd slowly, and then stopped. On me. At first, I thought it was coincidence. Then she smiled. Not the stage smile. Not the wide, practiced one. A small, surprised smile. Like she had just noticed something unexpected. My heart skipped, not romantically, but nervously. I looked behind me, expecting someone taller, better dressed, more noticeable. There was no one. She finished the song, but something felt different after that. I could feel it. During the final encore, she spoke into the mic. Sometimes, she said, you don't expect to see something real until it looks back at you. The crowd screamed. I froze. After the concert, as people poured out like a wave, a man in black approached me. Excuse me, he said. She'd like to meet you. I laughed. Actually laughed. He didn't. Backstage was quiet in a way fame never is. She stood there without makeup lights, without noise. Just a woman. You didn't sing along, she said. I shrugged. I wanted to listen. She smiled again. That's why I noticed you. That night turned into coffee. Coffee turned into conversations. Conversations turned into messages every morning. Within weeks, headlines followed. Star singer spotted with mystery man. Who is he? I wasn't ready for attention, but she was patient. She told me she loved how normal I was, how I didn't want anything from her. I fell for you the moment you didn't try to impress me, she said one night. 3 months later, she did something that shocked even me. She proposed first. Not on stage. Not in public. Just us. I don't want to lose this, she said. I know it sounds crazy, but I believe in love at first sight. I believed her. For 2 years, I lived inside a dream I didn't think I deserved. And I had no idea that dreams don't warn you before they end. I thought the lights chose me that night, but I didn't know how quickly they could turn away.
Fame doesn't arrive loudly when you're dating it. It seeps in quietly, through schedules, security, and silence where normal moments should be. At first, it felt unreal. She would text me from hotel rooms in different cities, sending pictures of half-finished songs, voice notes recorded at 3 a.m., whispers meant only for me. When she came back, she clung to me like someone afraid I might disappear. I like who I am with you, she once said. Not the singer. Just me. I believed her. But loving someone the world belongs to means learning how often you come second. To crowds, contracts, and cameras. I waited outside venues while she performed inside. I learned which doors paparazzi used. I learned how to walk 2 steps behind. She tried to protect me from the uglier parts of her life, but fame leaks. It always does. Comments appeared online. Who is he? She can do better. He looks ordinary. Ordinary. The word stayed with me longer than it should have. She noticed the change before I admitted it to myself. You don't like this life, she said one night, lying beside me in a dark hotel room. I like you, I replied. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Her proposal came during a rare quiet stretch. No tour, no cameras, no headlines. We were sitting on the floor of her apartment, backs against the couch, eating takeout like normal people. She watched me for a long time before speaking. Do you know why I fell for you? She asked. I shrugged. Because I didn't sing along? She laughed softly. Because you see me when I'm not performing. Then she reached into her pocket. No ring box. No theatrics. Just honesty. I don't want to lose the only place I feel real, she said. So I'll ask first. I said yes before fear could catch up to me. For a while, the world respected us. Or pretended to. Interviews followed. She spoke about love. About grounding. About how I reminded her who she was. People cheered. But behind the scenes, the cracks formed. She was exhausted. I was invisible. Meetings replaced meals. Flights replaced conversations. Sometimes, lying next to her, I felt like a guest in someone else's life. One night, after a sold-out show, she cried in the shower. "I'm tired," she whispered when I held her. Tired of being needed by everyone. I didn't realize then that one day, I would be part of that exhaustion. 2 years sounds like a long time. But when love is borrowed from a life already overcrowded, time doesn't deepen, it stretches thin. And slowly, quietly, I felt her pulling away. Not in anger, not in cruelty, but in preparation. Loving someone famous teaches you a hard truth. The louder the world loves them, the quieter you become.
The first argument didn't sound like an argument. It sounded like logistics. She stood by the window, phone pressed to her ear, nodding while someone on the other end talked about dates, flights, rehearsals. I sat on the edge of the bed, scrolling through nothing, waiting for a moment that never came. When she hung up, she didn't look at me right away. "They moved the tour," she said. "I'll be gone longer." "How much longer?" I asked. She hesitated. Just half a second. But I felt it. "A few months." I nodded, like it was fine. Like I hadn't been counting days already. We stopped marking time after that. Weeks passed where our conversations became summaries instead of feelings. She told me what happened, not how it felt. I listened, asked the right questions, learned when to stay quiet. I was becoming good at being easy. Too good. One night, I went to a show in another city to surprise her. I stood near the back, blending into the dark, watching her command the stage like gravity answered only to her. She was breathtaking, but as the crowd screamed her name, something uncomfortable settled in my chest. I didn't miss her while she sang. I missed her when she didn't. After the show, backstage was chaos. Assistants rushed. Managers argued. Security cleared paths. She smiled when she saw me, but it was the same smile she gave everyone. Polite, bright, public. Later, alone in the dressing room, I asked her quietly, "Do you still feel like this is us?" She frowned, confused. "What do you mean?" "I mean, do you feel like I'm still part of your life? Or just fitting into it?" She sat down, tired. "You're overthinking," she said gently. "Things are just busy right now." Busy. That word became her shield. Every missed call, every canceled plan, every time I swallowed something I wanted to say. Busy. I started noticing how often she spoke about the future without me in it. Cities she wanted to live in. Projects she wanted to try. Awards she hoped to win. When I talked about us, she listened kindly, like someone listening to a memory. One evening, I found an old video on my phone, her laughing in a cafe, hair tied back, no makeup, no audience. She was teasing me for ordering the same drink every time. I watched it 3 times. Then I realized something terrifying. That version of her hadn't existed in months. When I asked her about it, she didn't deny it. "I'm changing," she said. "I have to." "And me?" I asked. "Do I change too?" She didn't answer right away. That silence said more than words ever could. Later that night, lying beside her, I stared at the ceiling while she slept. The distance between us wasn't physical. Her arm was still across my chest. But emotionally, she was already somewhere else. I wasn't losing her. I was being outgrown. And the worst part? I didn't hate her for it. I hated myself for hoping love alone would be enough. Some relationships don't end with goodbye. They end when one person starts moving forward alone.
The breakup didn't happen on a bad day. That's what hurt the most. There was no fight, no shouting, no slammed doors, just sunlight through half-closed curtains and the sound of coffee brewing in a kitchen that still felt shared. She stood by the counter, scrolling through her phone, hair tied loosely, wearing one of my shirts. For a moment, everything looked normal enough to lie to myself again. "Can we talk?" she said. I already knew. We sat across from each other, hands wrapped around warm mugs we didn't drink from. She exhaled slowly. "I've been feeling like I'm living 2 lives. I waited. One on stage. One with you." Still, I said nothing. "And they're starting to pull in different directions." I nodded, because if I spoke, I might ask her to stay. "I don't want to hurt you," she continued. "That's why I need to be honest now." Honest. Another word that arrived too late. "I love you," she said, "but I don't think love is enough anymore." There it was. Not anger, not betrayal, just clarity. I stared at the table, tracing a scratch in the wood with my thumb. "Is there someone else?" I asked. She shook her head immediately. "No, this isn't about anyone else." That almost made it worse. She reached for my hand, then stopped herself halfway. I don't know who I am when I'm not chasing something, she said quietly. And right now, I feel like being with you means standing still. Standing still. I thought of every show I waited outside, every plan I adjusted, every time I made myself smaller so she could be bigger. I never asked you to stop, I said. I know, she replied. And that's why this hurts. Silence filled the room again, the kind that feels permanent. She stood up first. I'm going to stay with my manager for a while, she said, just until things settle. Things. Another vague word meant to soften a permanent decision. I helped her pack, not because I had to, because I loved her. When she reached the door, she turned back. I'll always be grateful for you, she said. You were real, when nothing else was. I smiled. Or at least, I think I did. The door closed softly. No dramatic ending, just an echo. That night, I slept alone for the first time in 2 years, and I realized something terrifying in the quiet. I didn't feel broken. I felt empty, which somehow felt worse. Some endings don't leave scars. They leave space where something used to live.
The world didn't stop when she left. That surprised me. The city still woke up early. Cars still argued with traffic lights. Coffee shops still opened their doors like nothing had ended inside me. I went back to my apartment alone. Her mug was still on the counter. Her scarf still hung behind the door. I didn't move them, not because I was hoping she'd come back, but because removing them felt like admitting something had died. Days passed. I learned the weight of silence, how loud it could be, how it followed me from room to room, sat beside me while I ate, waited for me when I returned at night. People checked in. You okay? You holding up? I said yes, not because it was true, but because explaining felt heavier than lying. I stopped checking my phone. No more waiting for messages that wouldn't come. No more reflexive hope every time it buzzed. One evening, I walked past a venue where music poured into the street. Laughter, applause, a familiar energy. I didn't go in. For the first time, I chose distance. Instead, I walked until my feet hurt, until my thoughts slowed, until the version of me that existed only for her started to fade. At night, I sat by the window and watched the city breathe. I thought about who I was before her, before the concert, before the proposal. I realized something uncomfortable. I had been living around her life, not building my own. So I started small. Morning runs, cooking real meals, turning my phone off at night. No grand transformation, just quiet reclamation. One morning, I caught my reflection in the mirror. I looked the same, but something inside me stood straighter. She didn't leave a broken man behind. She left a man who had forgotten himself. And I was finally beginning to remember. Healing didn't arrive like a miracle. It came quietly, the moment I chose myself.
It happened on an ordinary evening. That's how most life-changing moments arrive, unannounced, pretending to be nothing. I was cooking dinner when my phone buzzed on the counter. Unknown number. I ignored it. Then it buzzed again. And again. Something in my chest tightened. Not fear, not hope. Recognition. I wiped my hands slowly and picked it up. Her voice came through softer than I remembered. Hi, it's me. No name needed. Silence filled the space between us, heavy and careful. I didn't know if you'd answer, she said. I almost didn't, I replied. She exhaled, like she'd been holding her breath for months. I've been meaning to call. I just didn't know what to say. I leaned against the counter, staring at the wall where her shadow used to fall. So you chose nothing, I said quietly. She didn't argue. I made a mistake, she admitted. Not leaving, but how I left. That sentence landed harder than the breakup ever did. She told me about exhaustion, about loneliness that crowds don't cure, about standing on stages that felt emptier than my apartment ever had. I thought freedom would feel lighter, she said, but it feels hollow. I listened without interrupting. That surprised both of us. I don't want to go back, she said quickly. I just wanted you to know. Know what? That she missed me? That she regretted it? That she still mattered? I'm glad you called, I said after a moment. She paused. You are? Yes, I answered honestly. Because now I know. Know what? She asked. That I survived you. Another silence. This one different. I'm happy for you, she said finally. And for the first time, it sounded real. When the call ended, I stood there for a long time. No shaking hands. No ache in my chest. Just clarity. The past didn't hurt anymore. It only reminded me how far I'd walked away from it. Closure isn't about hearing the right words. It's realizing you no longer need them.
The days after her call were quieter than I expected. Not empty, just settled. I stopped replaying the past in my head. The concert, the proposal, the way her voice used to sound when she said my name like it meant safety. Those memories softened. They no longer demanded attention. Instead, I focused on the present, the version of my life that didn't need to impress anyone. Mornings became intentional. I woke up early, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. I filled my apartment with small changes. Plants near the window. A bookshelf where the empty space used to be. I wasn't rebuilding after her. I was building without her. One afternoon, I ran into someone from the old days. They asked about her. About us. I answered simply. We had our time. And for the first time, that felt like enough. That night, I stood on my balcony watching the city breathe below me. The lights no longer felt distant or overwhelming. They felt like possibility. I realized something important. Love didn't fail me. I just learned that love should never require you to disappear. Somewhere out there, she was still singing to crowds, still chasing something bigger than herself. And I was finally at peace with not being part of that story anymore. My life wasn't quieter now. It was clearer. I didn't lose love. I found myself where love once stood.